Today's lesson, we are going to go over how to create a play blast in Maya. This is Maya Andreasen, and let's get started. The previous lesson, we went over creating a turntable, and today we're going to talk about how to export it and export it properly. There's a number of things that we need to do. First thing that we need to do is we need to clean up this work window because this is what the is going to be recorded, is basically our work window. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my poly count information here. So I'm going to go to Windows. Nope, I'm going to go to Display, Heads Up Display, Poly Count, and that's going to turn that off. Now you might have noticed there's other things under Heads Up Display. So let's click this little double dotted line here to open this up, and we have a lot of things checked. We have camera names checked. I'm going to uncheck it so we don't see the camera down there. We have the view axis visible, so I'm going to uncheck that as well. There's also symmetry and caps locks, but we are just going to leave those alone. The next thing we want to have go away is the grid. So in our work window, you can either hit grid here and that will turn it off, or you can go to show. And the grid should be an option here. Yes, it is. We also want to turn off cameras and lights. So once again, we're going to go under show, and we're going to turn off the visibility of our light, and we're going to go to cameras. And so what that is going to do is it's going to give us a nice clean workspace that isn't cluttered. If you are exporting a rig or something like that, you're probably going to want to uncheck NURBS curves. Otherwise, all of your controls will be seen. You also will probably want to uncheck joints and IK handles and so on and so forth if you're just trying to show the animation. So if you're just trying to show animation, if you're trying to show the entire rig, maybe you do want your controls being shown, but that's for a different lesson. All right, back to the Playblast. All right, so now that we've cleaned up our workspace, we're going to go to our time slider down here. So this is our timeline and our time slider. In our timeline, right mouse press. Keep your right mouse pressed down and you will have a window open up. At the bottom is the option for Playblast, and there's an options box. So I'm going to hit my Playblast options box and it's going to open it up. All right. So let's take a look at these options. First off, QT, AVI, or image. You guys might not even have QuickTime as an option anymore. We're just going to go with the AVI, that's fine. Quality, I want it at 100%. The smaller the quality, the lower the resolution. I want my scale to be at 1 instead of 50%. If it's at 0.5, it'll be half the size of your work window. Frame padding 4. We're going to keep it at 4. We want frame padding of 4. Frame padding means if there's numbers after this, it would save as .0001 instead of just 1. So it's the amount of zeros that you have. That's the frame padding. We don't want to, we'll keep checked, remove temporary files, and make sure to click Save to File. Very, very important. Now we're going to browse and we're going to name this. So this is my barrels project, and let's create a new folder and call it movies. So we're going to be saving to our project file, and we're going to do movies, and we're going to call this barrels Playblast. For the purpose of the class, I want you to save as your last name underscore first name underscore the name of whatever you're outputting. For the purpose of this tutorial, barrels Playblast it is. File type is a movie. Save, and then we're going to hit Playblast. And what should happen is everything should be playing. Now, I don't know if this is recording properly. Should be looking through my work window, but we'll find out because the video will open and we'll play it. All right, so we have a little bit of an issue here. Let's see if I play. Okay, it does move around. That's very interesting. All right, let's take a look at the actual file and see if it rendered out properly. I'm going to open it with VLC QuickTime Player. I've had some issues with the Windows Media Player in the past. We will open VLC. And it looks like it did not record. So occasionally we'll have these issues. I haven't had one where nothing shows up before, but that's okay. It might be because it's the AVI. So let's try again. Good thing. Hello again. So there seems to be a bit of a bug in Maya where the playback for the Playblast works great with perspective camera, but not with any of my other cameras, which is very odd. So I've been playing around with things to try and figure out what's happening. So I am going to change my format from AVI to QuickTime, and then the encoding, I'm going to go with animation if I can find it. And I'm going to keep everything else exactly as is, save to file. Let's browse. We'll go to movies and we will overwrite this. We're just going to call it test 1 and save. And let's see what happens. All right, so now it is actually play blasting out. Now, unfortunately, it only play blasted 120 frames. We didn't have it at 300. So let's put it at 300 and let's try and do that again. So I'm going to delete this one. I'm actually going to delete all of these because none of them are good. And let's try that again with nothing selected. So once again, we're looking through the turntable camera. I'm going to right mouse press, go to Playblast. We'll reset settings so it goes back to the default just to make sure. I'm going to put it at QuickTime and I'm going to set it at animation and I'm going to hit Playblast. And then hopefully we'll see it turn around. Now, if it doesn't turn around because it's not doing that right now, that means it's not actually working. And unfortunately, it'll just be a blank thing that plays. Just to test it out. Oh, where'd it go? Not sure. Okay. I don't know where I saved it to, but that's okay. So we're going to try it again. Oh, well, we didn't save it. Well, see, that's part of the problem. So let's go to movies and we're going to call this test quick Playblast because it's important to try to do that. We're going to do it from the window. Let's actually reset things one more time. QuickTime. I have to fool it. Animation, save the file, browse, make sure it's going in over here, and test Playblast. Save. And we'll keep our fingers crossed. Okay, so I did render out my test plablast.mov, and initially it didn't seem like it worked. However, when I right mouse pressed on it, come on, and I opened it with VLC Media Player, we can see that my Playblast worked great. Now I also Playblasted it out as an AVI as well because I wanted to make sure that it was working both as an MOV and an AVI, and it does work. Now the playback with Windows Media Player is a little bit stuttered, as you can see, but it is working. So both are now working. I had to reset the settings a couple of times. This is actually a really great tutorial because when things go wrong, oftentimes we can get frustrated and sometimes give up. But the great thing about learning is that you have to critically think to try and figure things out. And so we figured it out. It's fixed. I changed the name here. Remember, when you submit things, you need to put your last name, first name, underscore, whatever the name of the file is. All right, and that's how you render out a Playblast and problem solve when things go awry. Till next time.